Hey, if you're a parent navigating the world of special needs, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to explore a huge shift in thinking, moving away from a focus on fixing challenges and towards celebrating the unique ways our kids experience the world. So let's dive in.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start by looking at the old way of thinking, and then we'll jump into this amazing new idea, the neurodiversity paradigm. Then we'll get into why language matters so much, how we can reframe traits and needs, and finally, we'll pull it all together on the path to acceptance. First up, let's talk about the starting point for so many of us, the deficit model. This is that lens that so often focuses on what's wrong or what needs to be fixed. And if you've been there, you know it can feel just incredibly overwhelming. So let's unpack where this all comes from. And this question, right here, it really gets to the heart of everything. Is disability a deficit, something to be fixed? Or is it simply a form of human diversity? You know, for decades, the medical and educational worlds have leaned heavily towards that first answer. But things are changing. And believe me, they are changing fast. Right, so this is what we call deficit thinking. And listen, if you've ever sat in a meeting where the whole conversation was about reducing certain behaviors just to make your kids seem more typical, well, you've been in the middle of deficit thinking. And look, the goal isn't usually malicious. It often comes from a place of wanting to help. But it's all built on this foundation of fixing instead of truly understanding. Okay, and this table really lays out where the friction is. It's a total clash of perspectives. On one side, you have this traditional research focusing on reducing traits to be more typical. But on the other, the autistic community is saying, whoa, hold on, this is causing real harm. You're trying to fix a core part of who we are, and you're completely missing the bigger picture. This isn't just a simple disagreement, you guys. It's a fundamental clash of worldviews.
So if the deficit model is the old way, what's the new way? What's the solution? Well, it's this really revolutionary shift in perspective called the neurodiversity paradigm. And I'm telling you, this idea, it changes everything.
Okay, so first things first, let's nail down this term, neurodiversity. The easiest way to think about it is like biodiversity in nature. It doesn't describe one person, it describes all of us. It's the simple, beautiful idea that there's an infinite diversity of human minds, and that this variation isn't just normal, it's valuable. Okay, so if neurodiversity is the big umbrella for everyone, what's neurodivergent? Well, that's a term for an individual whose brain works differently from what society has decided is typical. We're talking about autism, ADHD, dyslexia, all these wonderful variations in brain wiring. And that, of course, brings us to the word neurotypical. This just means someone whose brain wiring happens to align with the way society is already built. You know, the way most schools are set up, the way most offices function. It's not about being normal or better, it's simply about having a brain that benefits from the default settings of the world we live in. Okay, so we've got the big ideas down, but what does this actually look like in real life? How does it change what we do? Well, one of the first, most powerful places to start is with the words we use. Specifically, the shift from what's called person-first to identity-first language.
So for a long time, we were all taught to use person-first language, right? Saying things like a person with autism. And it came from a really good place. The goal was to emphasize the person before the disability. But what the autistic community has told us is that it can feel like the autism is some separate negative thing they're carrying around, like a backpack they can't take off. In contrast, identity-first language, saying autistic person, claims it as a core part of their identity. It's like saying you're a tall person or a musical person. It's not separate, it just is.
And this quote from the amazing advocate Lydia X.Z. Brown, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? When you say autistic person, you're not just using a different word. You're making a conscious choice to affirm and validate someone's identity. You're saying you're different, and that's not a tragedy. That is such a powerful, powerful shift. And listen, this isn't just a few people saying this. This isn't some fringe idea. A massive survey in 2022, we're talking over 7,000 autistic people, found that a whopping 91% prefer autistic person. The message from the community couldn't be clearer. This is what they prefer, and it's time for the rest of us to listen. All right, so this whole paradigm shift, it goes way, way beyond just the words we use. It fundamentally changes how we view support and how we view, well, behavior. Instead of seeing certain actions as bad behaviors that we need to stop, we start to see them as communication. We start asking, what is this action telling me about this child's needs?
This right here is a perfect example. It's such a critical reframe. The old view calls repetitive actions stereotypy. The word itself just sounds negative, right? It seems a pointless behavior that needs to be corrected. But the new affirming view calls it stimming, and it recognizes it for what it truly is, a necessary, vital tool for self-regulation. It's how a person connects with their body and copes with the world. So is it a problem to fix or a need to support? The answer to that question changes absolutely everything.
And you know what's so great about this? It's not some abstract theory. It's so practical. It's all about accommodating needs instead of fighting them. I mean, look at this list. Simple things. Letting a kid listen to music, offering noise-canceling headphones, having fidgets available. These aren't complicated, but these small accommodations can be the difference between a child who is just barely coping and one who is actually learning and thriving. Here's another great one. Let's talk about classroom expectations. The old way, which so many of us grew up with, is whole body listening. You know the drill. Sit still, hands in lap, eyes on the speaker. This forces a kid to spend all their brain power just trying to conform their body. But the new way? It's flexible. It accepts that some kids listen best while standing, or pacing, or sitting on the floor. The focus shifts from what learning looks like to whether learning is actually happening.
So, when we put all of this together, the language shift, the focus on support, the reframing of behavior, what's the big idea holding it all up? Let's talk about what this path to acceptance really looks like.
And here it is, plain and simple. The core philosophy is being solution-focused, not punishment-based. So when a child is struggling, the question isn't, how do we stop this behavior? The question becomes, what support was missing in that moment, and how can we fix the environment so they don't get so distressed next time? See the difference? It's huge.
And finally, I think this whole journey really requires a big dose of humility from all of us. This quote just hits so hard. Unless we are autistic, we may not ever understand. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how much we read or learn, we are not the experts on their experience. The most important thing we can possibly do is listen to and believe autistic and neurodivergent people. They are the experts, period.
Okay, I know this is a lot to take in. Making this shift, it's a journey, and it can feel totally overwhelming sometimes. But the good news is, you absolutely do not have to figure this all out alone. If you're looking for support, for resources, for someone to help you navigate all of this, that's why services like Stella the Special Needs Concierge exist. They're there to help parents on this exact journey. You can check them out at askstellanow.org. So, I want to leave you with this one big question to think about. How can we shift our energy away from trying to fix our kids and instead pour all that energy into fixing the environments around them? How can we build a world in our homes, our schools, our communities, where they don't just survive, but where they can truly, authentically thrive as themselves?